Hello, I'm Christine. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, type where you're from. Hi, Pan, is it? From Singapore. Hello. Good to have you here. So we have 1 more minute before we start. Hope you had your dinner already. All right, so it's 8 p.m. Hello, everyone. So I'm Christine. So welcome to this webinar on how coding can be useful for our daily life. So let me start by sharing these 3 movies. So if you have watched The Matrix, you type M. All right. So if you have watched Iron Man, you type I on the chat box, or if you have watched Squid Game, so type S. So if you have watched all 3, so then you can type MIS right on the chat box. So there's a bit of a time lag between the time I'm speaking versus the time that I'm actually interacting with you all. So, but of course, do not let this stop us from interacting together. So I will pause to read your comments. Okay. So I'm going to get started immediately, as I really treasure your time a lot here. Okay. Oh, all right. So you haven't watched any of this. Okay. So thank you for your response. So the Matrix, right, stars Keanu Reeves, and it's one of the best movies of all time. So indeed, right, it's actually the very first movie that introduced hackers. So a large number of teenagers became interested in the world of programming just because of this movie, The Matrix. And Iron Man, right, features this Jarvis, which is an artificial intelligence system programmed and built by Tony Stark in the movie. So Jarvis, right, stands for just a rather very intelligent system. And this movie series inspired people to learn programming for artificial intelligence. So Squid Game, it's actually a South Korean survival drama television series on Netflix. And it has generated a lot of hype lately in the social media. So in fact, I actually watched this series twice. And after watching it, right, I was actually inspired to write coding for 3 of the games. And one of the games, right, is actually related to face recognition, okay, which is actually a field in the artificial intelligence or AI. So do stay on until the end of this webinar, because I will share the code for this Squid Games review. So yeah, hello again. Yeah, I'm Christine. So I'm a programmer who produces more programmers, and I hope to inspire everyone to actually learn programming. Okay, let me find out right about you by asking this question. So from the scale of 0 to 10, right, how familiar are you with programming? Okay, so just type a score on the chat box. So 0 means you have, basically 0 programming knowledge, or 10, all right, you are familiar with programming, but maybe not with Python programming language, okay, which I'll show you in this webinar. Okay, so who is this for? So yeah, based on your score, yeah, you may have zero programming knowledge, right, or low programming knowledge, and you want to actually learn how to create an app, okay? And yes, as I mentioned, you may know other programming languages, but you want to learn about Python computer programming, okay? Yeah, thank you for your responses. So yeah, type 1 if you have zero programming knowledge, type 2 if you want to learn how to create an app, and 3 if you want to learn Python computer programming. So of course you can type 1, 2, and 3 as well. Okay, thank you for your response once again. So now that I know a bit about you, so yeah, let me introduce who I am. So this is about me. I have been teaching programming for the past 26 years in a university college. So my programming journey started in 1990 when I enrolled into a Bachelor of Computer Science degree program. So I remember the excitement that I felt when I solved a programming problem. So it did feel kind of magical, as if that I have this like kind of a superpower to create. So programmers, right? Yeah, we are creators. So and creators, right? Create. So my passion is actually in teaching programming, so that using this life skill, people can create a better world. So currently, I'm a certified professional trainer. I'm also an adjunct associate professor and a tech advisor in charge of the design and development of an educational platform. So as an educator, right, yeah, I also take up multiple roles. So one of them, right, is a fellow for this Asian Academy of Engineering and Technology, or AAET. So basically, I use my expertise to promote and enhance the application of engineering, technology, and innovation for the advancement in the world. So I'm also appointed as external examiners, moderators in professional bodies, and also in universities. So in this webinar, I'll show you 3 useful apps that you can develop using just basic programming concepts. So these apps are the Body Mass Index Calculator, or BMI, right? What to eat. So this simple application, or this code, right, will help you to actually decide, what to eat if you struggle, with that question. And the third application that we're going to see is grocery calculator. So of course, this is a short preview of what you will learn in the actual online course, which I will share at the end of this webinar. So of course, you will also find out what you will learn in the 2 days Skills Future Singapore approved course as well. All right, so let's get started with this first application, okay, BMI calculator. So we will start writing. I will actually show you the code, right? How to write the code for it. Okay, so since some of us, we do not have or we have a low programming knowledge. So I want to start with this really basic question on what is a computer program, or what is a code. So it's basically a language. Okay, so it's a language that we use to communicate with the computer. So a computer program or code, right, is a language that the computer can understand. So basically, it's a set of instructions, right, that tells the computer what to do. So like a language, right, a program has a syntax or rules that you need to follow. So right now, I'm communicating with you in English language. So a language, right, like English, we have grammar. We have certain spelling that we need to observe. So if I speak or write in a different grammar or wrong spelling, then you will not be able to understand. So same thing, a computer program, right, has a set of instructions. Okay, so we need to follow the rules of that programming language, right? So if let's say you want the computer to write something on the screen or draw something on the screen, so you will write that instructions to do it. Like in this example here, so I'm actually telling the computer to write the message you're invited, right? And then I also have the code to draw the circle, the triangle, and also the square on the screen. Okay, so these are basically the instructions that I tell the computer to do, and then it displays that message and draws the shapes correctly on the screen. Okay. All right, so I want to introduce a programming language called Python. So Guido van Rossum, right? He's a Dutch programmer. Right, so he's the creator of this general purpose programming language, Python. So he started working on this, right, in 1989, and it's now one of the most popular programming languages in use. And it was first released in 1991, which is 30 years ago. So the word Python, right? Yeah, it's not named after the snake. Okay, it's actually named after his favorite TV series, the complete Monty Python's Flying Circus, right? So I'm not sure whether anyone has watched this series before. I definitely have not. All right. So if you have, maybe you can type Python on the chat box. All right. What can Python do? Okay. So yeah, it's simple to use, and yet it's very powerful. You can use it to create web applications, okay, image processing apps, or apps that deals with audio or video. So in fact, my company, right, is actually using Python to convert videos to images, to audio, and also to different dimensions, right? And it's also used to even create simple applications like games, okay, desktop applications, enterprise, business. So really a whole range of types of applications can be created using Python. So you can do cool stuff also, like I mentioned just now, on artificial intelligence or even face recognition. All right, now let me ask you another question here. So what do you think these guys have in common? Right, so do type the answer on the chat box. You may not know all of them, right? But I'm pretty sure that you have heard about their company, right? Facebook, Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Okay, so yes, so what do you think is something that is common about all these 5 people here, right? Do type on the chat box. Many of you, right, probably know them as successful entrepreneurs or billionaires, okay? So they are, in fact, the founders, right, of these amazing companies, right? And but probably most of you do not know that they are also programmers or coders, right? And they have written these amazing software programs that we are using today, right? Like Facebook, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. Yes, I'm using PowerPoint slides now. And Google, so we always call Google our best friend because we can basically search anything from Google. Yes, these are also these people here, these billionaires, entrepreneurs, they are also programmers or coders. Right, so why are we learning Python? So Python is chosen, right, because it is one of the most popular programming languages in the world. So many big names, right, are actually using Python for their products or services. Okay, so some of this, you can see the logo here, like NASA, Google, right, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube. So that's why Python developers, right, are in demand. All right, so I always want to make it really simple for my students. So when they actually learn to write the code, they don't need to do any installation. Okay, so what you need, right, is just the browser, yeah, and also of course internet connection, right, and this link here, trinket.io/Python tree. So you can take a snapshot of it. Okay, yeah, don't worry. I'm not actually expecting you to type the program as I go along. So this session is actually recorded, right? So of course you can replay the video and then try out the code later on. So I will answer your questions as well at the end of the webinar, right? So of course now I hope to have your full participation, concentration, your full attention to this, right? And also have an open mind to actually learn new things, all right? Okay, so this is the interface that I'll be using, right? So this is the link. So I'll be starting this, I will go to this link later on. I'll show you after this. So this is a place where you type your program, and this section here is the place where you actually view your output, all right? Okay, so we're going to start off with our first code here, our first application, which is a body mass index calculator. Okay, so do you know that your BMI, right? It's actually a very good way to discover whether your weight is in healthy proportion to your height. All right. So knowing your BMI, right, can actually determine whether you have any health risk if it's beyond the healthy range. So in fact, there are a lot of websites, right, that actually provides this this calculation. So like this example here. So if you enter your age, your height, and your weight, right, plus your gender, and then click on this calculate button, okay, then it tells me that the BMI is 20.1, which is actually in a normal range. Okay, so this is a healthy BMI range between 18.5 to 25. All right. So if let's say it's not normal, then perhaps it's good to actually do a medical checkup, right, to find out if there's any major issue, with the health. All right. Okay, so we are going to start off with this BMI calculator. Okay, let's find out what is it that we need in order for us to actually write our program. Okay, so this is basically the formula, right? So from Wikipedia, right? So it says that this body mass index, right? It's actually derived from your weight and also the height. Okay, and to calculate it, right, it's actually the body mass, which is the weight, right, divided by the square of the body height. So now, if we were to express it in a formula or an equation, right, this is what it looks like. Okay, BMI equals to weight divided by the square of the height. All right, so we are going to actually write the code for this now. So that means our program, right, actually needs to read two things from the keyboard. It needs to read the weight of the person, okay, and also the height of the person. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to Trinket now. Okay. Oops. So I have to end that slideshow. So I go to Trinket. All right, so I'm going to go to full screen. So as I mentioned, let me show you the link again. So it's trinket.io/Python tree. All right, so and this is the interface where we're going to write our program and also to run the program. All right, so you see, we need what you call an interface in order for us to actually write the code. So this particular interface, right, this editor here, allows us to also check the syntax or the rules of our programming language. Like for example, you will use Microsoft Word to create your Word document. You will use like PowerPoint slides to create your slides or your deck. Okay, so this Trinket.io here allows us to write our Python program. It will check whether the syntax is correct or not. Then we can run the program. So just now for the BMI calculator, right, we need to actually read the height and the weight from the user. Okay, so the Python rule, right, to do that, okay, the Python syntax to do that, it's a function called input. Okay, and let's say I want to read the weight first. So I'm going to type this data. Okay, so we always want to give meaningful names to our data. And the Python function to do that is called input. And inside this input function, right, we need to tell the user what to input. So I'm going to say, please enter your weight, right? And I put a space there. So when I enter this data from the keyboard, right, it's going to store into this, this data called weight. In programming language, right, we call this a variable because the data can change, it varies. So of course, the next thing that we want to read from the keyboard is height. Okay, so same thing. I say, please enter your height. So I have two statements here. All right, so first statement, this first Python code is to read the weight. And the second one is to read the height. So let's run the program by clicking this play button here and see what happens. Okay, so you see it asks me to enter my weight. So let's say I'm 45, and then my height usually is in meters. So let's say I enter 1.5. Okay, and it will just end there. Okay. Because remember, a program, right, or code is a set of instructions that tells the computer what to do. Okay, so then that means if you were to ask a user to enter the weight, right, so that's what I did. I enter the weight, and then after that, I press the enter key. Okay, so and I enter the height. So the next thing that, of course, that we need to do is actually to get it to read, to calculate the BMI. So remember just now the formula, right, that we use is the weight divided by the square of the height. So now we have to form that equation, right, in our program. So we use another data, which is called BMI, and then we use the weight that we have stored divided by the square of the height. So we can do this using the asterisk, right? So this represents the square of that height. So now, let's say I were to use this code, okay? So I will try to run it and see what happens. So I enter 45, and then I enter height, it's 1.5. Okay, it tells me there's an error, right? So this, in programming terms, right, yeah, this is like a syntax error. That means there's something wrong with the rule in my program. Okay, it says that I cannot actually multiply a non-integer, okay? So str here stands for string, right, or a character. So what happens here is that this input function, right, is actually reading a character format. Okay, just like your ABCD, right, it's a character format. Okay, and because it's a character, right, you cannot be doing calculations with your alphabets or, if it's a non-number. So we have to actually convert it to a number, then only we can do the calculation with it. Because numbers, right, and alphabets or characters are stored differently in the computer. Okay, so you have to tell the computer exactly what they are, right? Because they don't know unless we actually specify it in our program. So what we need to do is that, okay, so I'm going to show you this, we're going to convert it. So the weight is going to be an integer value, which is a whole number. And then this part here, because it's a decimal point number, okay, so we will use this keyword called float, right, to convert it to a decimal number, right? So which is with decimal point, okay? So now with this conversion, right, let's try to run our program again. So enter 45, right, 1.5. Right, so, okay, so you see this part here, right, I'm actually multiplying the height, but this height, right, is in fact is still a non-integer, okay? So because here what I'm saying is that I'm converting this, right, after the calculation, so which doesn't work with Python. So I actually need to do the conversion first before I can actually do the calculation, okay? Because it's actually it will execute whatever that's inside the bracket first. In maths, right, whatever that's inside the bracket always has a higher precedence, right, than what is outside. So another way to resolve it, so we know that we need to convert it first, okay? convert this height, right, to a valid number, okay, a valid number format that the computer can understand. Then after that, we do the calculation. So this double asterisk, right, is also a way to say that it's a square, okay? So it's just like height multiplied by height, right? It's actually height to the power of 2. So in fact, you know, when you learn programming, right, it's a way to also learn math for the kids, okay? So they also understand certain formula, right, how to perform the calculations from that. Okay, let's try this. So I'm going to run it again. So I convert first before I do the calculation. So I enter the same thing. So now there's no more error. But of course, it's not displaying my result as I didn't actually tell my program to print the result out. Okay, so that means we need another statement here, which I call, which in Python, right, is a print function. Right, so it allows me to actually print the result onto the screen. So again, let me show you the syntax. I'm going to use this F here, which stands for formatted string. So I'm telling Python to actually display a message. They say your BMI is followed by the calculated BMI. And to do that, right, in Python, we use these curly braces, right, to represent the data that is being calculated, right, or the calculated result. Okay, so it says that, okay, your BMI is equals to this BMI in curly braces, right? And then we must also use the double quotes, right, to represent a sequence of character, okay, in our program. So now let's run and see what happens. So I enter 45, height 1.5. Okay, so it tells me that my BMI is 20. So of course, this is not something that really useful, right? So what I want to know is whether this BMI, right, is actually normal or not. Okay, now let's go back to the slides just now. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the slides. Okay, so there is actually an interpretation for this BMI, right? So as you can see, so if it's below 18.5, right, it's actually underweight. Okay, if it's 18.5 to 24.9, it's normal weight, right? And then if it's 30 and above, it's actually obese. So now, using this interpretation, right, we will add this to our program, right, to interpret the result of our BMI, to see whether is it underweight, is it normal weight, right, overweight, or obese. So now let's go back to the program. So that means our program, right, should be able to make decision. Okay, so that's part of what called decision making in our program. So you see, you know, that means we need to have the checking, right? If it's below 20, right, that means it's not normal. So you see, we can cover it directly in Python using what I call the if keyword here. So we're saying that if the BMI, right, is less than 18.5, then we should print the result normal. This should be underweight. All right. So remember that we have actually 4 different conditions there. So we will have to construct them one by one, right, with a different condition. So this BMI less than 18.5, right, is a condition. So you're saying that if this is true, then it prints underweight, right? Otherwise, we actually check the next condition whether it's true or not. So now the next one, right, is actually to check whether it's normal. So if BMI is greater than or equals to 18.5 and BMI, right, is less than or equals to 24.9, then this should be normal. So I'm going to copy this and then paste it, then change it to normal. Okay, the next one, right, is actually underweight. Overweight. I'm going to copy this as well and paste it. But of course, I must remember to change the condition. So this one is overweight, and the condition is BMI greater than 25 and BMI less than 29.9, right? So the last one is actually obese. So that means if none of these conditions are true, then it's obese, right? So in this case, right, one of the conditions will be true, right? So then it will actually be executed, and then a correct print or correct message will be displayed. So now let's try to run this, and I'll explain a bit more on the syntax. So let's say type 45, 1.5. So it says that it's 20, so it's within the normal range. Okay, now we can run the program again. Let's say I type something like 60 and see what happens. And then I type same height. Right, so it says that it's overweight. So it's because it's 26.6. Okay, then if I want to try a lower weight, let's say 30, 1.5, and it tells me that it's underweight because it's below 18.5, right? So the calculated BMI, right, is checked against all these values here, right? And then notice that at the end of this one, of each of these condition, right, there's a colon. There's a colon here, here, all right, here, and also for the else. Again, these are all part of the rule or the syntax of the programming language. Okay, let's see whether the obese, the word obese we printed out. Let's try a really huge weight like 80. So it's in kilogram, all right, in meters. Yes, so it says that it's obese, okay, because it's actually above 29.9 here, all right. Okay, so again, see the program, right, as mentioned, is a set of instructions that tells the computer what to do. So it starts from the top, okay, so it starts from line 1 here until line 12, right. So you see, it's just 12 lines of code, right, for this program here. Okay, to enter the weight, height, right, it calculates the BMI, right, and then checks the BMI, all right. So of course, you can also ask the user to enter the age, right, and also the gender as well, all right. And then perhaps there are also other conditions that you may want to check. Okay, so now let's switch back to the PowerPoint slides. So actually, it's important for us to check the different output. Okay, so make sure that we are able to print out all these messages correctly by entering different weight and height. Okay, because this is the way that we test program to make sure that the data is correct, and then your code, right? Like for example, this formula, this is called a logical operator, right? And okay, we're saying that if BMI is greater than equals to 18.5 and, right, the BMI is less than equals 24.9, then it's normal weight. So we have to make sure that when we test our program, make sure that we can actually execute the different path, right, different pathways of that code. Okay, so here I've added a function to round it up because just now you saw like, 20.6666, right? So it's like, I think 18 decimal places. So that is the precision for that Python program. So we can actually reduce it by adding a different function here called round. You round it up to only 2 decimal places. Okay. So, okay. How do we get all these functions like input, round, print? So you see, programming, right, it's not about memorizing. Okay, so yes, I do use Google. I check out the documents, right, to find out what function I can use, and I always look at examples, okay, from there. So this is how I learn, right? Of course, we also need to be resourceful when we learn, so that we know that how we can be able to solve more programming problems along the way as well. Because there are thousands of functions and different ways of writing that same code. Even this simple code, right? There are actually many ways of writing it. Okay, so that's why we don't memorize, right? So we always refer to the resources that are online, right, to help us in the coding. Okay, so now we have seen the body mass index calculator. So the next function, right, or the next program that we're going to write is a code to what to eat. You see, nowadays that there's so many choices for our meals, and I don't know whether do you actually struggle, right, on what to eat. So if you do, then type eat on the chat box, right, EAT. So because my family and I, right, we actually use Grab every day, right, for our meals, for lunch, but for dinner we actually cater. So sometimes I just cannot decide what to eat. And then, so then I'm thinking, why, maybe I can actually write a code, right, to help me to decide what to eat. So in fact, there are applications out there that do that. Like this one here, right, which is actually from Google Play. You just shake it, right? I mean, the app on your phone, you just shake it and then it will tell you like what to eat. So I'm thinking, maybe I can also write the code, the Python code to do that, right? So it's a very simple code that I'll show you. So where we are going to actually read from, that means we're going to store a list of items into a container. Okay, so I'm going to use this concept of container inside the Python programming language. Okay, so let's go to Trinket. All right, so I'm not going to use this code anymore. All right, so I'm going to have a new one. So, okay, you see that program, right, is going to randomly select from the list, okay, to tell me, okay, what I should eat. All right, so I mean, just to give me a suggestion, all right, what can I eat? So there's a specialized built-in functions in Python to do that, okay, and it's called random. So the first thing is that we need to import this random, this built-in function in Python. So I'm telling Python that, okay, I'm going to use this built-in functions, right, to do random, to pick something randomly. And then I'm going to store all these items, right, into a container. Okay, so it's called a list. And you actually not necessarily for, you call it food list. It can be, let's say, a list of restaurants. All right. So you cannot decide, which restaurant to go to. Okay, so you can actually put this into your list as well, and then write the code to help you to decide. Okay, I'm gonna put in maybe 5 items, right? Just for testing. Okay, what else? Okay, McD's. So actually, I think this is my son's favorite. But I mean, I do like Japanese food as well. Then maybe you can type, what is your favorite food? McD, okay, KFC, all these different fast food. And then what else? Okay, pasta, let's say. Okay, let's add in just one more. So we have 5. All right. Okay, pizza then. All right, so you see, I've stored all these items into a list. Oops, I'm missing a code. So this is basically what you call a string or a sequence of characters, right, within the double quote. So I have a food list. So it can be any list, okay? So it can be a restaurant list, for example, right? Or even your favorite places, maybe you want to go for holiday somewhere, right? So maybe you can actually write a program to even recommend you the places that you can go to. So in this food list, right, we have Japanese, McD, KFC, pasta, and pizza. So we are going to write a code to actually randomly pick from our food list. So as mentioned, right, it's actually a built-in function in this set of random functions. So, and we need to give a name for our choice, right? So I call it rand choice. And the function, right, is actually called choice. So this function choice, right, is actually found inside this built-in library or built-in function in Python. Okay, so this is how we actually access that function. random.choice. It's saying that choice is inside this built-in functions. And we are choosing it from the food list. Okay, so this code is basically telling the program to choose an item from this list and then store it into this variable called randChoice. Okay, so now let's run the program and then see what happens. All right, so I run it. Okay, so of course you don't see any output because I actually haven't told Python to print out anything yet. I'm just telling Python to actually pick a choice. Okay, but I haven't actually told Python to print out this choice. So remember just now you saw this print function, right? So we have to add this to our program now. Okay, so print, and then it's a formatted string. So I say, okay, your choice is followed by this variable. You just copy and then paste it, rand choice. So this function is going to pick a choice from the list, and then after that, we use this print function, right, to print out that choice. Okay, so let's see what the suggestion is. So I'm going to run this. Oh, it tells me that the choice is KFC. If let's say, I still have doubt about it, right? So of course I can still click this run button and then see, okay, maybe pizza sounds good, right? So then I will actually place the order for my pizza, right? So again, you can actually have multiple choices in that program. Okay, so you can even ask the user to choose, or what do they want to do? Do you want to choose a food, or you want to choose a restaurant, or a place that you want to go to, or maybe something that you want to do, all right? So basically the list, right, is endless, okay? So it's up to your creativity in order to, give you the correct answer that you want, right, in terms of the choices here. So you see just how many lines you have, just 4 lines of code, right? To randomly pick from the list and then display on the screen. Okay, so this is really how simple it is with Python. If you were to write it in other programming languages, probably it's like, even like 10 lines of code, right? Not just like, here in fact it's only 4 lines of code here. Okay, so that is our what to eat app. So let's look at the next one. Okay, so just go to that slide that we have. All right, so yeah, this is the one that I added. There are actually 10 choices there. And then, so we actually display Japanese, and that's, my favorite food. All right, so you can type your favorite food there as well on the chat box. So in the next app, right, so we're going to see this grocery calculator. Oops, that's my screen. Okay, yeah. All right, so there are also apps on this, okay, on grocery calculator. But what we're going to create, right, it's not just, to do the calculation, but we also wanted to check whether we exceeded our budget or not, let's say for that week, right? So like, for example, on this website, right, yeah, it actually asks you to enter the item, the price, the unit, the quantity, okay, and then it does the calculation there for you. So to simplify this, so I've actually entered it entered the data, right, into a container first. So just now you saw a list, right? A list allows you to store a list of items or a sequence of items, okay? And then in this new data structure that I'm going to show you, it's called a dictionary, okay? So now I'm going to switch to Trinket. So we're going to write the code for our third application here. So I'm going to call this a grocery list. Okay. So you should always give meaningful names to your data or your variable. So the next time when you look at your program again, right, then you know, oh, okay, this is what it's doing. Okay, this is what it's actually storing. All right. So you shouldn't use something like ABC equals to this or XYZ. All right. So there is another. So I mean, when we learn programming, right, it's not just about writing code that works, but also writing code that is easy to understand, easy to maintain as well, right? Easy to change in the future. All right. So that's where, meaningful names comes in, right? And also proper structure of your program is also important. So all this, are also covered in the online course. So now, just now, right? Okay, we actually use square brackets. I'm not sure whether you noticed that. We actually use square bracket for the list, right? So you have a few items there. Okay, in this container or data structure, right, we're going to use a curly braces. And then I'm going to store the item. Okay, let's say, Milo. All right. And in this syntax, right, we use a colon to actually separate what you call the key and the value. So Milo, let's see, what's the price? Okay, I think I recently checked this out from the website. So it's, let's say, 28.99. All right, so that's the price. And then, okay, I'm going to add in maybe like 3 items. Okay, so let's say next one is we have cheese, and then the price is 18.99. So this is the second item. And then next item, let's say I have my milk. So this is like for breakfast. So, and then okay, let's say it's 9.99. All right. And okay, maybe let's add one more. Okay, cornflakes. So we have 4 items here. Let's say this is 11.69. I'm gonna close this. So I have 4 items in my grocery list. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, we don't want our program to just print out, just to do calculations, right? I want it to actually check whether I've exceeded my budget or not for that week. Okay, so like, remember to read the input from the keyboard, right? The function is input. Okay, so again, I should always give a meaningful name to my data, and then I'm going to convert this to a decimal point number, right? So float, right, in Python, means it's referring to a decimal point number. Input function, like we have seen just now. Okay, and I say, okay, please enter your budget. So this is actually the budget for the week lah. Okay, so please enter your budget for the week. All right, put a space there, and then next line. Okay, so now let's say I run this and see what happens. Just want to test out whether I got my my syntax correct. So I say 100. Okay, so of course I didn't tell Python to do any calculations or print anything, right? So I need to continue to add the code. It's always good to write a code and then test it out, okay? So that you'll be able to correct the errors, like, one by one. Otherwise, if too many errors, then it gets more difficult to actually correct or to find and correct them. I mean, yeah, you can say that you want to, of course, try to minimize the bugs, right? The errors in our program. Okay, so yeah, I've already asked the user to enter the budget. Okay, next, right, I want to actually print out the grocery list here. So I say, okay, this is your grocery list. And then, okay, what happens here is that we have a list of, items here. Okay, so there's Milo, cheese, milk, cornflakes. All right, so Milo, milk, cheese, cornflakes, right? This is what you call the key in our data, right? So all these are unique, right? And then you have the price for each one as well. So you see, because we have a sequence of data, right, we need something in our program to actually repeatedly assess individual item. Okay, so this is where this syntax comes in, a for loop, a looping. Okay, because we have 4 items there, that means we have to go through this this data structure grocery list 4 times. Okay, first is excess Milo, then cheese, milk, and then followed by cornflakes. So to the syntax, right, is actually very simple. So this is just a variable name. So for item in grocery list, this name here. But yes, by the way, Python is case sensitive, so you have to make sure that you don't put like capital G, this small g, then you will get errors also, right? So you have to make sure that it's the correct in terms of your casing also, okay? Because Python is case sensitive. And then I'm going to use the print function to print out my grocery list. So first I print out the item, which is actually Milo, cheese, milk, cornflakes. And then I want to print out the price for each one. Okay, the price, right, is actually accessible using the name of that dictionary followed by the item. Okay, let me explain this. Okay, item, right, is Milo. Alright, so if I put grocery list Milo here, right, so when you run program each time Milo, it will give me the result 28.99. And then this is, remember this is a loop, right? A for loop. So that means after assessing Milo, it goes to cheese. And then, so cheese is the item, right? And then when you say grocery list square bracket cheese, right? It will refer to the price, which is 18.99. So it's going to repeat this until the end of the grocery list. From Milo to cheese to milk and then cornflakes. So that is what it's going to display when I use this print function. So now let's test it out. Okay, actually I need to put the curly braces because this is a name of the data. All right. But if let's say I don't, so let me show you what happens. All right, so that you can see the result. Okay, so I enter 100. Okay, notice that, all right, the item is correct. So Milo, cheese, milk, cornflakes. But then, you see, because this is inside the double quotes, whatever that's within the double quote will be printed out exactly like it is. See, grocery list item is the same thing. But that is not what I want. What I want, right, is the value that is stored there. So this is why we need the curly braces. Okay, so always, test and then learn from there, the reason why we need that particular syntax, that rule in our program. So now we test it again. So I put 100. All right, so now it gives me the correct result. So it prints out Milo, it prints out cheese, milk, and also the cornflakes. Okay. So now that means these lines of code, they are okay. All right, the next thing that we need to do is actually to calculate all these values. That means I need to add 28.99 to 18.99, then 9.99 and 11.69. Okay, so again, this is where it will be in the loop as well. Okay, we have to accumulate this value here. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, so we have another variable so that we can we store this into a variable called total. All right, and then we want to actually accumulate the value. So let me show you the syntax. Plus equals to grocery item. Okay, what this means here is that okay, let me show you the expanded version. All right, so it's actually total equals to total plus the grocery this item. So you must give it an initial value, right? So that Python will know how to do the addition. Okay, we start with 0. So that means 0 plus 28.99. So that means your total will be 28.99. Then 28.99, right, which is a total, will be added to the next one, which is 18.99. All right. And then that total, right, will be added to 9.99, and then finally 11.69. So remember, this is in a loop. So the total is accumulative, right? We start from 0, right? 0 plus 28.99, and then after that, you add 18.99 to it, and so on, until you reach the end of that grocery list. Okay, so now let's try this out. Of course, we haven't print anything yet, huh? So we just run it. All right, so it gives me my grocery list, but I haven't actually printed the results. Okay, so then immediately you think, oh, I need the print function to do this. Okay, so I go, it has to be after that looping, right? So I print, again using what I call the formatted strings. So I say, okay, your total is followed by the variable name, total. Oops, the curly braces. All right. And then let's run and then see what happens. Okay. So I enter 100. So you see, it tells me that my total is 69.66. All right. So if you don't believe this, then maybe you can use a calculator and try to calculate this. All right. Okay. So now I know my total. Okay, remember that I want my program, right, to check whether I've exceeded my budget or not. So whenever, there's some form of checking, that means your program will make decision. Okay, that's where decision making comes from. And immediately, right, you will think, okay, I can actually use the if statement that we have seen earlier on, right, with the BMI calculator. Okay, so if my my budget, okay, if my total is less than the budget that I've set, right, remember you need to use the colon, right, to indicate the end of that condition. So print, if it's less than that, if your total less than budget, okay, maybe say, oh, okay, good job. You did not overspend, all right? Else, okay, or otherwise, you say print, okay, you have exceeded your budget. It's up to you, what message you want to print out on the screen. Okay. All right. So let's test this out and then see whether it has exceeded or not. Okay, under 100. Right. It says 69.66 is definitely below 100. So it says, yeah, good job, you did not overspend. Okay. So let's test the program out, see whether it will display this print message here. Okay. So I enter something like 50. Oh, okay. So then, it did the calculation, and then it tells me that I've exceeded my budget because, 60 is of course greater than 50. Okay. So it's just a simple application here, right, for us to actually consider as well. So instead of, putting this into, preset it, right? Of course, you can get the user to enter this item and the price from the keyboard. Okay. So that's where, you use the input function that we have seen, right, in the previous program, of course, in this program as well, right? Because we ask the user to enter the budget for the week. All right. So this is less than 20 lines of code here, right, for this simple application. And of course, there are a lot of enhancement, that can be done. All right. So this is kind of like a console-based kind of an app. So you can actually put in graphical user interface, right? So of course, that's where you need to add additional functions, okay, to do that. But of course, you start from something simple first, right? And then slowly, once you're comfortable with it, then you go to a more intermediate or, advanced level, okay? But always start from, something that, that you find it, simple first, then you add on more functions to it, okay? All right, so we have completed the 3 applications. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation. All right, yeah. So in this example, yeah, I actually added how many? I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, just 7 items there. Okay. Yeah, I mean something different because just now I actually combined this into one loop. Okay, so it can be separated as well. So as I mentioned, they're basic. Even for one simple program like this, there are many ways to write it. Right. But of course, the first thing is for first time, right? It's always good to just to have something that is working. Right? That means you get the correct result. Then only you fine tune it, right? You improve the efficiency of it, right? The interface, okay, or the structure of the program, right? So of course, you always start with something that is working, okay, and then slowly we improve on it. Okay, so for all these 3 applications, right? So in fact, we have actually covered all these basic concepts in programming. Okay, so actually all these concepts, right, it's not just in Python, but it's also in other programming languages. So we have seen how we read from the keyboard using the input function, how we display information using the print, how we deal with numbers, okay, integer values, and also decimal point, how we perform calculations with it, so that is the operators that we use, and then how your program can make decisions, okay, using the if-else construct, right? And also to do repetition in your program, okay? So you've seen the for loop just now. And then I've also introduced actually 2 types of containers, right? Basic container, right, in the programming language, right, is to store different data, okay? So just now we store the list of food, and then we store items and prices in the dictionary, okay? And I've only introduced one module, okay? That means this is a built-in function in Python so that it can do more interesting functions with it, okay? So which is the random, right? Remember, we actually pick randomly from the food list, okay, to give us a randomized choice. All right, so in fact, all these concepts, right, are in the in my online course on the fundamentals in Python programming, okay? So as you can see that, yeah, they're altogether 10 lessons there. There's a bonus lesson on artificial intelligence. So yeah, you have the basic concepts, input, output, data types and operators. You learn more about strings or sequence of characters and other operators, okay? So just now you only seen probably only 2, but there are more than that. How your program can make decision, okay? More on randomization and different type of lists as well. And yeah, just now I introduced for loop. So in fact, there's another loop called the while loop, right? Which allows you to repeat a sequence of code in your program, right? And then, yes, and then more things about dictionary, how you create, how you delete, how you edit that dictionary or that data. And important concept in programming, right, is functions. How you group a set of statements together, and then after that, you can call it repeatedly throughout your program. Okay, so it actually improves the structure of your program. And of course, to make it interesting, right, that's where, graphical user interface comes in. Yeah, that's where I introduce how you draw images, how you work with images, with graphics, how you do animation, and also how you create a simple game. Okay, so in fact, there are actually altogether 9 projects that you can create. So one of them, right, is actually a password generator app, okay? And then I find this something useful also for me, okay? It is actually not advisable for you to use the same password for all your social media accounts or even, your bank account. So always use a different password, because if let's say one is compromised, all right, then the hacker will actually try to use that same password for your other account, okay? So then that's where, problems will come in. Your data may get stolen, all right? So it's always good to have, that's a good practice to have different password for, for your different social media or different accounts, okay? So this app here, right, basically you can actually generate the password in any way, right? So it will ask you to enter the number of letters that you want in your password, like A to Z, how many of them, how many numbers you would like from 0 to 9, the digits, okay? And then it will randomly generate a password. Okay, so you see there are actually 4 numbers, 4072, and the rest are the letters, 6 letters, T, X, C, P, B, M. So of course, once it's generated, right, then you can use it. Of course, you need to note it down somewhere as well, but always keep it safe. All right. And then, yeah, you can generate as many as you want, as many as you need. Okay, I also find this actually useful, a Caesar cipher. All right. So if let's say you want to actually you don't want to let others know about the script message they're sending to your friend. All right. So what you do is you can use this code here. Right. You type in encode, right? Type your message, and then with a shift number. So that means the letter A, right, will be changed to the letter C. Okay. So it's shifted by 3. All right. And it gives you the encoded result. So it's like, this is what you call the cipher text, the encrypted message. Okay. And you can repeat this code multiple times. Okay. So if let's say you don't wish to quit, you type decode, right? You copy that message using the same password. Okay. This shift number is like a passcode. It's like a password, right? And then it gives you the decoded result. Okay. So let's say you're happy with it, then you can just quit from the program. So they're step by step to show you how you actually create this Caesar cipher. Yeah, in fact, it was actually first invented by Julius Caesar for the war when he was trying to communicate with his soldiers. Then, of course, with his army, he didn't want the enemies to actually find out what the message is. That's why he came up with this cipher. Okay, in this project, right, you will actually use the if else, right, the decision making construct to create adventure game. Okay, so again, it's up to your imagination, your creativity, how you want this game to work, right? What is the aim or the mission of the game? It could be, you can change it to something like treasure hunting or treasure island. All right, you're in this treasure island, you want to try to find this treasure box. Okay, this and then you will go through different obstacles. Okay, so again, all this, right, is you can create a script for that, and then after that, write the program to help you to to make the decision and then give you the result, whether you actually lost or win the game. Okay. Okay, this is the well-known rock, paper, scissors game where you, again, it uses lists and randomization. Okay, so at the end of every project, right, you will actually apply the previous concepts there. Okay, so that will help you to recall, because in programming, right, you will need a lot of practice. Okay, just like in math, right, when you solve problems, right, you need to practice so that you remember the formula, you remember the steps. Okay, same thing with programming, right? Yeah, you need to actually practice so that you can remember the rules that you're going to use or the functions. Okay, so yeah, this one applies randomization. Okay, so you'll be actually playing with the computer, right? And then at the end of it, it tells you whether you lost or the computer won, or if both chooses the same thing, it's a draw. Okay. Right, and then the last project is an Animal Crossing game where you learn how to how to do the animation, okay, using images, how you detect collision, right, how you actually write text into this graphical user interface. So you'll be using a different random module for this. So if let's say, you want to actually try more things, okay, then you can actually move on to an intermediate course, right, which I also offer, right, as an online course. Okay, so there are 7 lessons, and in this course, right, you will learn a different programming paradigm, right, and then with 3 different projects, and you also learn how to work with files. Okay, how you actually read from the file, how you actually write to the file, right? So yeah, this is the intermediate course. Okay, so I wrote a number of articles this year also about the importance of having digital skills, and then we are not just be digital user, but also be digital maker, right? because yeah, the future of our jobs, right? Actually, there are actually a lot of disruption there. Okay, so we need to keep on like reskill or even upskill so that we are able to keep up with the current technologies, right? To be able to actually contribute more, right? In terms of to even to teach the younger generation, right? What we know. So I've also written articles about different job profile, right, and also different computing courses as well throughout the 26 years of my career in education. So if for today, if let's say you want to have a high employability, right, it's important to have digital skills. Okay, yeah, to have skills in data analysis. So in fact, Python, right, is very strong in this area of data analysis. So a lot of data scientists, right, yeah, they actually use Python to analyze a huge amount of data. Okay, and that data can help us to make proper decision as well. And yeah, definitely, your skills related to computer science and IT, okay, so that will actually help you to have a high employability rate. So I like to actually share from my ex-students, okay. So this one, he's currently a chief technology officer, and he's actually working in a tech team, development team in the insurance company. So, why he chose Python is that it's really fast for development. It's not just for professionals, but also for hobbies. And because there's a widespread adoption and a large community, right? So then, so there's a lot of support there. Okay. So remember, yeah, in programming, it's not about memorizing, right? So you have this huge community that always come up with new built-in functions that you can use, okay, to improve your program or to help you to solve certain problems. So to him, right, Python is something that performs many things well, but not everything great kind of a language. So I mean that's why he loves it. And yeah, he used in his company, they use it to calculate insurance premium. They use certain built-in functions, okay, that allows them to really develop the prototype fast and also to make improvement to it easier, okay, much easier. Okay, so this guy here, his name is John. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to hear what he's saying. So he's actually a software engineer, and also he's involved in UI, user interface, and user experience design. Okay, let me see what. Let me try play. Okay, so I think there's a problem with the sound, right? So let me just summarize what he mentioned as well. So in his company, right? Yeah, he actually used yeah, Python to develop websites and also mobile applications. So why choosing Python, right? Right. So yeah, in fact, this one also shared the same thing, right? That is very popular among the big companies. Yeah, it's a language for artificial intelligence and for data analytics. Okay, very easy to learn, and then very versatile, and also there's a huge demand for it. Okay, because there's a widespread adoption. There's a huge community that's supporting Python, and they're developing a lot of really, really cool functions for the community. Okay, IEEE, right, is actually the world's largest technical professional organization for the advancement of technology. So, for them to make this statement, okay, Python dominates as the de facto platform for new technologies. I'll say, wow, it's something really, really huge, right? There's a really huge support there, okay, for Python. All right, so then, yeah, how can you start your programming journey? All right, so already I'm delighted to share that if let's say you're from Singapore, okay, with 25 years and above, you can actually utilize your skills future credit to claim for this course. Okay, so yeah, let me share the link to this course here. Okay, so just give me a minute, yeah. Oops. Oops. Okay, maybe I'll stop the sharing first. Okay, just give me a moment here. Right, so that is actually the link to the Skills Future workshop. So you go back to the, you should be able to see, let me share my screen again, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so this one is the, oops, I hope you can see the screen. So the course objectives, right, are actually on the website. Right, as you can see, the full fee is 500. So that means you can use your Skills Future credit to claim this course. So why? Let me share with you why this 500, right, is actually really, really reasonable. Okay, so yes, I need to switch back to my. Okay, never mind. It's okay. All right. So I just actually trying to search for the part-time teaching rate in Singapore. So in fact, it's about average is 110, okay, per hour. So the course, right, itself is a 2 days course. So it's 12 hours. So if I were to multiply the 110 by 12, right, so in fact, it's like 1,320 Sing, okay. So it's something, I'll say, 500 is something that's really affordable. I mean, because, anyway, it's, you can actually use your credits to actually claim it, right? Then there'll be, in a way, there's no cost to you, okay? So I'm just, comparing in terms of that full fee. And yeah, you're actually getting a lot more value as well, because so they're all together, there are actually 59 videos in that online course, which you can actually access for a lifetime. So I'm not just giving you that 2 days live workshop, but you will also have access to the videos, okay? And and of course to the projects, to the challenges, right? And also to the code. So there are more than like 150 code there. So you get all the slides as well, right? All the all the exercises, okay? The videos, and even after the class, right? So you will also get support to the Facebook group, okay, as well as email support, right? After the workshop. The limited seats, there are already some registrations there. So the next dates, right, it's actually on 27 and 28 November. Okay, so it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So there'll be a lunch break, 1 hour on each day. But of course, there'll be also short breaks in between in the morning as well as in the afternoon session. Okay. All right, so you can take just take a snapshot of this. So this is the QR code, right, for the registration. Okay, so let me share the link on the chat box as well. Yeah. Oops. Okay. Okay, the problem is I think I need to stop sharing again. Okay, so that is the registration link. So I'll be actually sharing, the other value that you'll be getting as well for this webinar. Okay, let me share the screen again. All right, so yeah, for all Singaporeans aged 25 years and above, so you can actually claim your credit, all right, and then this does not expire. Okay, so you do have a one-time credit top-up, right, which you can also claim for a full range of SkillsFuture credit eligible courses, and this one expires in 31st December 2025. So in fact, I have a fast action bonus. Okay, so you're able to actually register and submit the screenshot by midnight. That means that will be 3rd November already. Okay, to this email address, faith@travelop.com. So if you do that, that means I'll actually give you compilation of all the Python code in the program itself, in the online course. Okay, so more than 150 code there. So yeah, this is the link again, right? So yeah, do submit by midnight tonight. All right, so that's 3rd November. Right, so with the same link that I've shared just now on the chat box. Okay, so this is what you'll be getting. So the beginner's code, right, the slides, right, the exercises as well as the solutions. So you have all the 10 lessons there, right? And yeah, and then these are all the slides for the 10 lessons. Okay, so again, that is the link, right? So you can do the screenshot of this, or use your phone to scan the QR code, right? So you have to email it to faith@travelop.com, right? After your registration and also to do the submission. Okay. All right. So what I've shared with you, right, on the developing the different apps, right? I mean, this is just knowledge. Okay. So knowledge is not power, but knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. So that's where we need to take the action to learn, so that we can go on to the to another level, right, with our knowledge. So if let's say you're not able to claim, or let's say you are not Singaporean, but you're still interested to start your programming journey, okay, so I do have what I call a bundle course here, which is I have both the basic and intermediate. For SkillsFuture, right, it's currently only the fundamentals course with the 10 lessons. Okay, so whereas this online course, it covers both. And then for this webinar, so I'm giving the discount of just 72, right? So this is in USD. Okay, so the reason is because this year my mom is actually 72 years old, so I really want to honor her with this with my online courses here. And the original price is actually 118. So with this code, right, you'll be able to actually access both the online, both the basic and the intermediate course for 72. Okay, so later I'll share the link. I'll share the link. So there are altogether 92 videos. There are 13 projects, 65 challenges there for both, right, and more than 200 code. And in fact, I have more bonuses as well added on. Okay, so after watching this, the Korean drama series Squid Game, right? So it actually inspired me to write coding related to the games. Okay, And there's another game that this is my favorite because I enjoy word games, which is this hangman code here. So I'm going to give this away as well, right, as part of the fast action bonus, which is, that means if you register for the online course, you also get this code for free. Okay, I mean, as part of the package. So with the this is the sample of the hangman code, right? So this particular code, right, it will actually ask the user to guess a country. Okay, so if let's say you lose, right, then of course then you will it will be this will become of course you get hanged if let's say you completely lost the game. So I mean, if you win, then yeah, it will stop there. It won't continue to draw again. So in fact, I was actually kind of afraid that I will lose. Okay, but finally, I guess the word the country, which is Lebanon, right? So you can actually create other word lists. Okay, at the moment what I have is country, but you can actually create other word lists as well to play the game. And then yeah, I actually created 3 simple programs, right, for the coding ideas in Squid Games. So this is one of them, right, which is the images. And then this one is on the marble game. So if you watch Squid Game, right, then you know, that the marble game, right, is actually one of the games inside that drama series. As a bonus, those code will be actually given, right? The hangman code and also the code for the Squid Games. So I just want to share this code from my from my mentor here. So it says that build your knowledge and turn it into asset. How do you do that? Okay, so once when you learn, right, you're actually building your asset. Okay, that asset, right, can be, you can actually that knowledge, right, can be turned into an asset where you can start earning money from it as well. So I'm actually happy, if you were to use this code to teach others, right, and then to share this knowledge with others. It could be anyone, I mean, in your family, right? If let's say you have kids, you can share with your kids or nieces, or even let's say your grandchildren as well. Okay, so I'm really open for anyone to actually use these materials, right, to share it with others, right? Okay, so I mean, I'm doing this also is, as I mentioned, is my passion as well to teach programming, right, to not just adults but also to kids as well. Okay, and I just hope that this is something that is inspiring to all. So let me share the link to the online course. All right, so that's the link with the coupon code. Right. Do you have any questions? So basically, in this session, right? So I've shared the 3 applications, right, that you can actually create just by using simple, basic programming concept, right? And then, I mean, once you know this concept, right, of course, you'll be able to develop more applications like web-based applications, even more advanced games as well. Okay, but I mean, but you need to start somewhere, all right? A place for you to start off with, right? And I hope to have this journey with you all, and then to help you to actually go on to the next level in your programming. Okay, so I've shared the links. If you have any questions, yeah, do feel free to connect with me. So let me share my contact as well. Yeah, okay, so I have my email address there. So that's my my Facebook page, my LinkedIn profile, as a YouTube channel, and also the TikTok channel. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to end the session soon. So feel free to connect with me after this. Right, thank you once again for your participation. So I hope you have a good rest, and then hope to see you in the online course. Right, thank you so much. Right, have a good night. Bye.